Going to take a look at DaVinci Resolve 16 as a way of producing AV. Came across this when I was looking for an editor for YouTube videos. It's free, that's one really good advantage, but it's also a very good package. It's modern, it's up to date, there are new versions coming out. So let's just have a quick look. This is the opening page with your projects. You can either click for an untitled project and just start a new one, or click new project down here. So we'll just click new project. I'll give it a name and we'll just call it Test Abbey. You'll see why in a moment. And create. It will start up the main program. Now the interface is like a lot of video editing suites. You've got a media pool, i.e. the type of the media you want to bring in. You've got a playback area, and you've got where your tracks are going to live. So what we're going to do is just start here on the left, which is the media pool. You can use the browser here to find the images you want. I'm going to go to C:temp movie. Okay, there's my 3 images I'm going to stitch together, and a bit of music to go with it. So I'm just going to drag that down into my media pool, as they term it. This is what we're going to be working with. You can add more clips later, or more images later, or more music, but this is a good starting point. Now, along the bottom here, it's split up into different modes, different windows. So we're on the media section at the moment, where you basically can bring things in, look at them, look at movie clips, play them, and make sure you got what you want. We've got a cut tab area. I'm not going to show that tonight. I'm going to move straight onto the edit tab, and this is where you lay your tracks down, and you can add video transitions, titles, and stuff like that. I'm going to skip these 3 tabs, and the only other one we'll go do it right at the very end is deliver. Actually create the MP4 or .mov movie file. Okay, so we got our data here, and we've got a timeline here. So what I'll do is I'll grab my first image and I'll just drag it down onto the track. There we go. Now it defaults, because it's a still image, it in essence doesn't have any length in time, but it defaults to 5 seconds. Now what you can do is you can grab that and you can make it as long or as little as you like. So you can see the time on the image there. I'll make it look, this one, a little bit more than 5 seconds, because I'm going to add some more information on. And then you just grab your next image. So we'll grab this one and we'll just plop that on the end there. So we've got our 2 images. This little red line here, you can just grab it and it's basically your timeline. So what I can do, you saw me drag the length of time. If I right click on that, I can actually go to change clip duration, and you can see it's nearly 7 seconds. I can just go back and make that 6 if I want to precisely. I've changed that, you can see it come back there. Okay, you'll see different handles on here. You can see if I drag that, it will move, and backwards and forwards. Get a slightly different one if I come in from the left, and that will actually drag over the other track. Now we're just dealing with still images, but for movie tracks that might be you're cutting the start of the next track. So you can pick it up in different fashions. You'll see another little marker here, and this is basically a fade in, fade out. So if I do that and move to the beginning and just play, it will fade in and then fade out, move on to the next part in the timeline. So what we can do, before I go add any more tracks, I want to add an intro, and they've got some default intros. So if I go to title, you've got all these different versions, and I'm going to pick one I've used before, and just I'm going to move it to the track above. So if I want two things to overlay, I just move it up and it creates a second video track, and I can actually move the tracks together. So let's just play that. So that's the default title, and then the video coming in underneath. So you can make this go wherever you like. It could be a completely overlap like that, or you might want to start with black and fade in. So let's try about there. Let's just have a look. And as you can see, you can just play around with this to your heart's content. Right, I'm going to remove the fade out on the end there. And next thing I'm going to show is a transition. So just click on transitions, and you've got all these different types of transitions. Let's just move that up. So, I don't know, 30 odd transitions. I'm going to do a dissolve, and all you do is you just grab it and place it over the join point of the two videos. And now let's just play that transition. So instead of it jumping to the next image, you'll get a transition. If I click on the transition, make it red, what I'll do is I'll move that there. Along here is that shows the entire timeline. The next one automatically zooms up wherever your red line is, wherever your play point is. And if I pick that, I can actually change the length of the transition. So I can make it longer or shorter. Or if I right click, I can actually type in an actual value. Okay, so again, I'll come here, play. There's the transition. If I make it longer, play, you'll get a longer, smoother transition. So it's really, you can play around with that. Let's go to that. Let's go to the entire timeline. I've got one more image to add. So let's just drag that and pop that on the end. There we go. And I'm going to use a different transition. Let's no idea what this is. Iris. Let's have a look. Let's play it. Oh, right, okay. Looks like an eye. If I don't like that, just click it, make it red, hit the delete key, and it will remove it. I'll do another cross dissolve, to be honest. Okay, so one more trick. I'll just show you on this last one. There is a hell of a lot of transitions and playing around you can do with this. I'm going to show you one I particularly like, which is dynamic zoom. So whatever image I'm on, this inspector area, I can turn on different options. So I'll turn on dynamic zoom, and I have to go over here and turn on dynamic zoom as well. And what it will do, it will move from that size out to the bigger one, zoom out in this case, or you can zoom in, reverse. It basically starts at the green square and works out to the red square, which was on the outside here. So if I just move back and just hit play, is it zooming all the way out? There we go. So you can control this to a certain extent. So what I can do is, rather than, it'll always work across the clip, but what I can do is add the clip in again, and I can make this one shorter. Yeah, make that one shorter. So basically now the transition will happen quicker, and then it will stay still for a while. So you might want the image to stay at full size for, let's say, a second before you moved on to yet another image. Let's just play that. There we go. Stay still, end. Well, lastly, what we'll do is we'll go back to titles, and I'll put a title on the end. Just drag that, put it on the end there, and let's just see what we got. And this is what it is. It's just a little title in the corner, and what we'll do is just put in thank you. And the second line text, just open that up. Oh no, by Simon. There we go. That will do. Right. So if I go back to the front, and I can just hit play, and we can just run through the actual AV we've just created. There's the transition, coming up to the next transition, and the zoom out, stay still, end titles. The only thing I might want to do is add a little bit of music to this. So I'll just drag this, and you can see this is the audio track. You just grab it and put it on. It's way too long, so I'll just bring that back. There we go. There we go. So let's try that. Let's just hit play. Right. The same with as we did with the fade in here, you can actually fade the music in. So we just take that and we can fade the music at the end of the track. So we can come to about here. Let's move it in. Let's try that again and hit play. And there we go. Very quick demonstration how DaVinci Resolve could be used for creating AVs. It is obviously mainly for doing video editing, but it lends itself really well. Okay, what we'll do is the final thing, we just want to actually publish this. So well, the first thing we'll do is we'll do a file save. Save that. Let's copy. That's it done. Move to the deliver, and this is where you can pick your presets. You know, YouTube, Vimeo, custom. There's a whole bunch here. Let's just pick YouTube, and I'll just call this test. This is the output file. I'm going to do it MP4. And I'll browse for an area, just my general video area. So it's going to be called test.mp4. I've already got one, I'll overwrite it. It's going to be output at 1920 1080, and that will do. So all we do now is just hit add to render queue, and then we would hit start render. The reason it's two different areas, rendering an image can actually take a fair amount of time, so you might want to not render it at that time. If you're doing this as a living, you'd actually do several projects and then render it, render all of them maybe end of the day before you go, kick it going before you go home. Anyway, we'll hit render. It doesn't actually take that long. There we go, you can see it running through. There we go, and it's done. So what I'll do is I'll just open that folder, which I happen to have here, and there's our test. I'll just double click it. There we go. Okay, I hope that found that interesting. Thank you.